In 1959, a group embarked on a skiing expedition across the northern Urals in Sverdlovsk Oblast, Soviet Union. The leader of the group was Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old radio engineering student at the Ural Polytechnical Institute. He gathered 9 others for the trip, including Zinaida, Alexander Kolevatov, Rustam, Yuri Doroshenko, Yuri Krivonischenko, Nikolai, Ludmila, Alexander Zolotaryov, and Yuri Yudin. The goal of the expedition was to reach Otorten, and the Dyatlov group departed from Sverdlovsk city on the same day they received the route book. They arrived by train at Ivdel in the early morning hours of January 25, 1959. On January 27th, they set out on their journey toward Otorten. The following day, one member, Yuri Yudin, who suffered from several health ailments, including knee and joint pain, was forced to turn back due to his inability to continue the hike. Despite this setback, the remaining 9 hikers pressed on with their journey. On January 31st, the group reached the edge of a highland area and began preparing for the climb. In a wooded valley, they cached surplus food and equipment for the return journey. The following day, the hikers set out to traverse the pass. It appeared they intended to cross the pass and camp on the opposite side the next night. However, due to worsening weather conditions, snowstorms, and decreasing visibility, they lost their way and veered westward. Realizing their mistake, the group opted to set up camp on the mountain slope instead of descending 1.5 kilometers to a forested area, which would have provided better shelter from the weather. Little did they know, however, that this decision would seal their fate as it turned out to be their final night. Before departing, Dyatlov had agreed to send a message to their sports club as soon as the group returned to Vizhai. It was anticipated that this would occur no later than February 12th. However, when the 12th passed without any messages received, there was no immediate reaction, as delays of a few days were common with such expeditions. On February 20th, the travelers' relatives demanded a rescue operation. In response, the head of the institute dispatched the first rescue groups, comprising volunteer students and teachers. Subsequently, the army and police forces became involved, with planes and helicopters summoned to join the operation. After 6 days of searching, the group's abandoned and badly damaged tent was discovered on Kholat Syakhl. The campsite left search party members puzzled. Mikhail Sherevin, the student who found the tent, described it as half torn down and covered with snow, empty, with all the group's belongings and shoes left behind. Investigators determined that the tent had been cut open from the inside. They followed 9 sets of footprints, left by individuals wearing only socks, a single shoe, or even barefoot, leading to the edge of nearby woods. However, after some distance, these tracks were covered with snow. At the forest's edge, under a large Siberian pine, the searchers found the visible remains of a small fire. The first 2 bodies, those of Krivonischenko and Doroshenko, were discovered nearby, shoeless and dressed only in underwear. Between the pine and the camp, 3 more corpses were found: Dyatlov, Zinaida, and Rustam. Their poses suggested they were attempting to return to the tent. After more than 2 months of searching, the remaining 4 travelers were finally discovered on May 4th, buried under 4 meters of snow in the woods near the pine tree. Following the discovery of the first 5 bodies, a legal inquest commenced immediately. Medical examinations revealed no injuries that could have directly led to their deaths, with hypothermia determined as the cause of death for all. Rustam had a minor skull crack, not considered fatal. However, a shift in the narrative occurred after the examination of the 4 bodies found in May. 3 hikers had fatal injuries, including major skull damage for Nikolai and significant chest fractures for Ludmila and Zolotaryov. The force required to inflict such damage was remarkably high, comparable to that of a car crash. Notably, these injuries lacked external wounds, suggesting the victims had experienced extreme pressure. All 4 bodies discovered at the bottom of the creek exhibited soft tissue damage to their heads and faces. Ludmila, for instance, was found missing her tongue, eyes, part of the lips, as well as facial tissue and a fragment of skull bone. Similarly, Zolotaryov's eyeballs were missing, while Alexander Kolevatov was without his eyebrows. Initially, there was speculation that the indigenous Mansi people, local reindeer herders, had attacked and murdered the group for trespassing on their lands. However, interrogation of the Mansi revealed no evidence to support this hypothesis. The investigation indicated that only the hikers' footprints were visible, showing no signs of hand-to-hand struggle. Despite the harsh weather conditions, with temperatures as low as -25 to -30 degrees Celsius and a storm blowing, the deceased were found only partially dressed. Some had only one shoe, while others wore only socks. Additionally, some were found wrapped in snippets of ripped clothes, seemingly cut from those who were already dead. Journalists reporting on the available parts of the inquest files claim that it states 6 of the group members died of hypothermia and 3 of fatal injuries. There were no indications of other people nearby on Kholat Syakhl apart from the 9 travelers. The tent had been ripped open from within, and the victims had died 6 to 8 hours after their last meal. Traces from the camp showed that all group members left the campsite of their own accord, on foot. Additionally, some levels of radiation were found on one victim's clothing, and there were no survivors. At the time, the official conclusion was that the group members had died because of a compelling natural force. The inquest officially ceased in May 1959 because of the absence of a guilty party, and the files were sent to a secret archive. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged, each attempting to unravel the truth behind the Dyatlov Pass incident. The most widely accepted theory regarding the Dyatlov Pass incident suggests that a combination of natural forces led to the tragic deaths of the 9 hikers. The theory assumes that a sudden and severe avalanche or a series of small avalanches could have caused the hikers to flee their tents in panic, leading to their deaths from hypothermia and other injuries. However, the exact sequence of events and the full explanation of the incident remain uncertain, and various alternative theories continue to be debated. But despite all the investigating and guessing, we're still left in the dark, and the truth remains elusive. So that wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and ring the notification bell for more intriguing content. Until next time, fellow explorers.